The restaurant industry has been struggling lately, and 2025 is shaping up to be another brutal year. With shifting dining habits and fierce competition, what beloved chain might be on the verge of calling it quits in 2025? Well, be sure to stay with us until the end of this video to find out, because there are some pretty big surprises here. And as we check out which restaurants might not survive 2025, we'll also take a look at the ones that have recently gone belly up. One of which is Buca de Beppo. If you love huge plates of pasta, walls covered in old-school Italian photos, classic red and white tablecloth vibes, then you probably know Buca de Beppo. This Italian-American chain has been serving up family-style feasts since the 1990s, but on August 5, 2024, they filed for bankruptcy. Buca de Beppo has had a wild history. It started back in 1993, serving up portions of spaghetti and meatballs. Then, in 2008, Planet Hollywood scooped them up after a major accounting scandal rocked the company. Fast forward to today, and it looks like their luck ran out. So what happened? Well, a little bit of everything. First off, the cost of running a restaurant went up, and Buca just couldn't keep up. On top of that, labor costs became a nightmare. Hiring and keeping restaurant workers has been a struggle for many businesses, and Buca was no exception. With higher wages and fewer people willing to work long restaurant shifts, their expenses just kept on mounting. And then there's the fact that Buca de Beppo has been financially shaky for a long time. Over the years, the company racked up more and more debt, and by 2024, they owed around $50 million to creditors. With all this going on, bankruptcy became inevitable. Despite all this, they're not shutting down completely, though. They're keeping 44 locations open and even plan to open a new one. A bold move for a company that just went bankrupt, but hey, maybe they're hoping for one last comeback. And another big-time restaurant chain that recently packed up and you might have missed is Red Lobster. Red Lobster might have been a seafood giant at some point, but in May 2024, Red Lobster officially filed for bankruptcy protection, blaming a mix of economic struggles, bad business decisions, and a whole lot of competition. One of the biggest disasters, their infamous endless shrimp promotion in 2023. What was supposed to be a fun all-you-can-eat deal turned into financial chaos when customers really took advantage, eating into profits instead of boosting them. But that wasn't the only problem. A previous owner made a leaseback agreement that left Red Lobster stuck with its sky-high rent costs. So when sales started to drop, they were still paying top dollar for locations that weren't making enough money. Despite all the problems, Red Lobster isn't ready to sink just yet. An investment group is swooping in to buy the company, and they've already tapped former P.F. Chang's CEO Damola Adamolakun to take over. That's if they can make it out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Whether he can turn things around or if this is the final chapter of the seafood chain remains to be seen. And for our next entry on this damning list, we have Sticky's Finger Joint. Sticky's Finger Joint was pretty popular for crispy, saucy chicken tenders, but the fast casual chain has hit a rough patch. Sticky's filed for bankruptcy in April 2024, citing rising costs, legal troubles, and lingering effects from the pandemic. When the cost of ingredients skyrocketed, it made it hard for the restaurant to turn a profit on their famous tenders. On top of that, they got mixed up in a legal battle with another chicken chain, Sticky Fingers, over trademark rights because apparently there's only one room for one Sticky in the chicken business. And in the financial strain left behind by the pandemic, and Sticky's just couldn't keep things running smoothly anymore. The chain, which opened in 2012, had grown to bring in $22 million in annual sales by 2023, but even that wasn't enough to keep them from hitting financial trouble. Now they're hoping bankruptcy restructuring can help them stay afloat. Will they come back stronger or end up just another restaurant casualty? Well, only time can tell. And that's pretty much the same deal as On the Border Mexican Grill and Cantina. These days, this chain has been feeling the heat, but not from its sizzling fajitas. The Tex-Mex chain officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on March 4, 2025, after struggling with inflation, shifting customer habits, and rising operational costs. Once a go-to spot for margaritas, tacos, and that famous guacamole live made fresh at the table, On the Border has been losing ground as more people choose to go for fast casual and takeout options. With fewer customers filling its booths, the chain couldn't keep up with expenses, forcing the closure of around 40 locations. Now that still leaves about 60 restaurants open across 18 states plus 20 franchise spots, including some in South Korea. But for how long? Well, the company is now looking to sell its assets, which means the future of those remaining locations is up in the air. For now, On the Border is still serving up Tex-Mex favorites, hoping to stick around long enough to pull off a comeback. Whether it finds a new owner or fades into restaurant history, one thing's for sure, this is an important moment for the once thriving chain. And the future of the chain is certainly not clear, as On the Border plans to sell its assets soon. For now, though, you can still stop by for a plate of nachos and frozen margaritas, just in case this is your last chance to do so. Now that you're all caught up on the chains that have had to wrap up business in recent months, it's time to take a look at some that'll be joining them real soon. Sure, these restaurant chains haven't gone bankrupt just yet, but all financial, social, and economic pointers indicate that they might not be too far off from being yesterday's story. The most obvious of which is the Steak and Shake. What used to be a go-to spot for diner-style burgers and thick hand-spun milkshakes has now become a brand knee-deep in some serious financial trouble. Sales have been dropping, franchise owners aren't happy, and customers have been complaining about declining service quality. The company tried to cut costs by switching to a self-service model, but the results have been mixed. While some locations have adjusted, others have only frustrated customers who are used to traditional service. Then there's the franchise drama. Steak and Shake's relationship with its franchisees has been rocky, with disagreements over management, operational costs, and brand direction. A struggling brand and unhappy franchise owners, that's never a good combo. Industry insiders predict that if things don't get better soon, Steak and Shake could be forced to close even more locations. The brand has already shrunk over the years, and without a major turnaround, it could be on a fast track to joining the list of restaurant chains that just couldn't keep up. For now, they're still flipping burgers and blending shakes, but the question is, how much longer can they keep going for? Moving on, Applebee's is another restaurant chain that might not make it past 2025, and there are plenty of reasons why. For starters, Applebee's has been struggling to connect with younger customers. While it was once one of the top picks for casual dining, the rise of fast casual restaurants and delivery apps has pulled people away from old-school sit-down experiences. Millennials and Gen Z just aren't rushing to Applebee's the way previous generations did, and without a steady stream of new customers, things aren't looking too great. To add to that, financial pressures keep on piling up. The chain has already closed a number of locations over the years, and if sales don't improve, even more could be on the chopping block. Industry experts warn that if Applebee's can't reinvent itself or at least stop the downward spiral, it might be looking at widespread closures or worse, bankruptcy. For now, Applebee's is still hanging on, serving up half-priced apps and $1 drink specials in an attempt to stay relevant, but with all that's going on, 2025 might just be the year the beloved restaurant chain files for bankruptcy. Approaching the end of this list, we've got Fuddruckers. Fuddruckers used to be the go-to place for burger lovers who wanted to go all in on customization, fresh buns, juicy patties, and a topping bar that let you pile on as much cheese sauce as your heart desired. But let's be real, it's been slowly disappearing, and at this rate it might not be around much longer. The problem, Fuddruckers haven't quite kept up with the times. While fast casual burger joints have streamlined their menus and service, Fuddruckers is still staying true to its old-school approach. As a result of this, they've got fewer customers, fewer locations, and a brand that's fading into the background. Financial struggles haven't helped matters either. Between ownership changes, franchise issues, and rising costs, keeping the lights on has been an uphill battle. They've tried comebacks before, but nothing has really stuck. Right now, Fuddruckers is still grilling up burgers, but if things don't turn around soon, Fuddruckers might end up joining the long list of restaurant chains that couldn't keep up with the times. And lastly, on our list of restaurant chains that might not make it to the end of 2025, we have the Cheesecake Factory. Yes, even the Cheesecake Factory, the place with a menu longer than a novel, is feeling the heat. Increasing costs, shifting dining trends, and an uncertain economy have put this upscale casual dining giant in a tough spot. And if things don't improve, closures, or even worse, could be on the horizon. For many years, the Cheesecake Factory thrived on its really large portions, endless menu options, and of course, their legendary cheesecakes. But things aren't the same anymore. More people are choosing to go for quicker, cheaper dining experiences, and the days of lingering over a three-course meal in a dimly lit booth aren't as popular as they once were. Plus, operating costs have gone up, with high rent prices, expensive ingredients, and labor challenges. Keeping those giant restaurants running isn't cheap. The chain has already started scaling back, closing underperforming locations and reevaluating its strategy. For now, the Cheesecake Factory is still going strong, serving up oversized meals and decadent desserts, but if they don't find a way to adapt, 2025 might be the year they file for bankruptcy. That's all for this video on another bankrupt restaurant chain. Who's next in 2025? Which of these restaurant chains are you most disappointed to see close up? Let us know in the comments section and enjoy our other videos.